Hey, welcome back to another episode of In the Chute. I'm Brandon Carpenter, and with me is my esteemed colleague, co-host, and offspring, Calen. What do you got,
Um,
Calen? What's in the chute today?
so I think we talked about this earlier. I watched the 3 seasons of Yellowstone, and they're gonna be in the mail here in the next couple days. To go to Dad, so he can review and write notes on it. And then we'll do a lengthy review. It may end up being a 2 hour ordeal because I have some complaints of the thing. But they kind
Did
of
they
brought up.
Hollywood the crap
Yes.
out of it?
I mean, you got
Yeah.
Kevin Costner in it. Why not? So,
Oh yeah.
um,
Well,
the topic that I was going to bring up today is what do movies get wrong about Cowboys slash the West? So,
a lot.
so there you go. Let's start there. What do you think on that?
Al- Almost everything. I mean,
To me, everything
uh,
just seems so romanticized, especially to the point where
yeah.
it's so westernized. Like you can't get out of a mold outside of, oh, I got to be sleeping out underneath the stars with my saddle and my one horse that I've had for 20 years, and then I got to always have a gun on my hip. And like it's
Right.
always that niche of like I'm the guy that's here, like the John Wayne type. I'm always going
Right.
to be the John Wayne tough guy. I got to prove something. Like that's kind of how I always see it.
Well, and when I was, God, just graduated from high school, I was trying to make some money, and so I was encouraged to leave home. I knew that at that Christmas when I got some
Kill it.
skillets and some a pair of boots and some luggage for Christmas. I
There
knew
you
that
go.
I was being told something. So I went seismographing, oil patch, or exploration. And of course, it didn't take long. Those guys, where are you from? And of course, I don't really fit in, real well with my style of dress like everybody else, and I get to know these guys. They were good guys. What a great bunch of guys. I mean, I was the oldest one I think on the crew was 22. He was the foreman at 22, and we're
I'm about to be
handling
27, and to me, that still is like that's the old guy. Come on.
right. Yeah, and there were two of us that had
uh,
just graduated from high school. We're barely
uh,
18, and we're handling big equipment, and we're throwing hundreds of pounds of dynamite around a day, on this exploration deal. And anyway, what's a bunch of young guys do every night after work? Yeah, they drink beer all night long, and I mean that's just it was that's a kind of that culture. But um, we're sitting around, and I gained the respect I think from them because they'd give me crap, but it was good natured,
mhm,
and they always looked out for us younger ones that weren't supposed to be in the bar drinking. But
yeah.
uh, they were sitting around one night at the foreman's house. We're in Dickinson, North Dakota, and he had a condo, and we are all there. We're moving equipment, and so we're all laying out on sleeping bags. I mean, we slept out of sleeping bags and in your car wherever. And we I remember we were playing chess. Everybody liked to play chess and drink beer, and we're eating a bunch of chicken, that we ordered from somewhere. And one of them said something about being, just giving me crap, and said something about being from the Big Valley. Well, the Big Valley used to be it was a television series. God, I think
Was
Barbara
it
Stanwyck was in that,
was it
and
Dallas or was it
no,
actually
no, no, it
that
was
was it's
called the Big
called?
Valley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the name of it. And I mean, it was old black and white. I mean, it was early mid '60s, I think, television series. And they're giving me, I suppose, when you go out, does your horse come when you whistle? And well,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're like,
She
ah,
does.
they all bust up laughing. I'm like, okay, I shouldn't have said that was stupid. I should have just,
I should have lied.
and so, oh yeah, they're just a great line. So, they're just giving me crap constantly about it. But, again, it was good natured, and I could give them crap about whatever. So we had a time when we were close to home here, and the foreman and I got to be really good friends. And and his brother were on the crew. Well, uh, his name was Mark Stavengord. They were both a couple of Norwegian guys living from Alaska. And if those guys are out there, man, I hope you're doing well. Great guys up there around Palmer, Alaska, is where I think they were from, and then moved back up there after this seismograph bust. But anyway, we go to the ranch and or went up for the night, and I said, hey, we'll just spend the night at my place because nothing going on because it was raining. and we couldn't get into any kind of the fields. So we pull up to the house, and nobody's around yet. And so I get out, and I don't see any horses around. So I let about a big whistle, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Listen." I stood there, and it's nice and calm, just one of those evenings, that's really calm, nice, cool,
Rare.
and rare, yeah. And all of a sudden, I can hear something, and you can hear it louder and
Yeah.
louder, and I can hear its hoofbeats. And then all of a sudden, about 15, 20 head of horses come over the top of this hill running at us. And he goes, "Holy," he was like, "You are shitting." I was like, "I told you they'd come to a whistle." He's like, "Oh my God, what did I tell those guys?" And after that, they kind of quit giving me crap a little bit too. It was
'Cause
really funny.
you
So,
weren't just a poser at that point. You weren't just trying to be the
no,
Hollywood guy. It was actually what you did.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's been guys, that you walk into a place and they're gonna be they're just want to be a smart ass and go, "Hey Tex, you
Yeah.
ride your horse to town?" Like, "Yeah, well, that's my dad you'd be talking to, not me." And they're like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, you don't get it." So uh, you know, y- there's just this thing that if you're not bow-legged and you can't talk right, you can't articulate yourself, and all you do is spit chew. And believe me,
There's
I'm
a
not
lot
that
of them.
articulate, and I've chewed a lot of tobacco in my life, but we're not dumb, and that's kind of I think there's a lot of that. It's funny. Even your mom picks that up when we go somewhere. There's um, a definite predisposition of what they think you are,
Hmm.
and how you're treated and stuff. And some people just flat won't wait on you,
Yeah.
I mean, or you're the last one to get waited on, or they'll put you in a spot where nobody else they wouldn't seat anybody. I mean, there's that happens all the time. And so, I mean, if you want to talk about race things, yeah, I understand that. I'm
To an
like, okay,
extent.
big
Yeah.
deal. Yeah, to an extent.
Well, I mean,
So,
that kind of comes up to like one of my past relationships. She was with us when we were going through Yellowstone Park, and
oh yeah,
she was uh half Colombian and half Hawaiian, very brown, and with a pasty white guy like me. And then there's you and mom up front, and you had your cowboy hat on, and we're
right,
driving down towards the Lamar Valley. And
yep,
I remember we saw, some people had they pulled off to the side, and I think they were trying to get a picture of like some elk or something that was up on the side of the road. And we saw a little kid come running out towards the road. So what you did was you slowed down and you swerved over to the left because nobody was coming. So you just made sure to
right.
get over to the other lane to go around. And you didn't really go all the way over. You were like got half the car over and came back over
Right,
to
kind
the
of right down the center of the lane. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then you
Because
get
there were cars on the other side. There was
right.
something going on, and people were stopped and getting out and
Yeah.
looking at something. There was just a bunch of buffalo. I mean,
Right.
there were a dime a dozen in the park.
Yeah, at the park. So we're going down, and it wasn't it wasn't less than a quarter of a mile, and you had whoop whoop the lights come on, and
Yep,
you got pulled over. You're like, God dang it! And we had been to the brewery that day, and we had all had like one beer,
like
and
2-3 hours earlier
yeah, a couple hours earlier, and we're like,
with a
okay,
meal.
with a meal. Yep. I mean, there was absolutely no reason for you to have been in an inebriated state whatsoever,
No, it
and
was not.
and the guy pulls you over. He goes, "Hey, you know why he pulled you over?" And you're like, no, actually, I don't." And he's like, "Well, I saw you swerve a little bit. Have you been drinking?" You're like, "Well, yeah, I had a beer or two, for lunch. We were in Bozeman and we came down to the park for the day, just a quick day trip." He's like, "Okay, look at my finger." And he does the quick like, he's like, "All right, I don't think anything's wrong with you, but let me give you a warning." He's like, "Give me your stuff." And he went back and stuff. And as soon as he went back, the first thing you did was you said to uh my ex was that, "Hey, you know how you get kind of treated improperly, like
Profiled. Yep.
profiled?" Yeah, you're like, he just did the same thing. She's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "He saw a cowboy hat in a car with a bunch of people, and he assumed I was drinking, and he just took advantage of it, and he was trying to get me on a DUI." And her eyes kind of lit up. She's like, "Oh, okay." And
Yep.
that to bolster your point, people look at you a certain way because they think you are a certain type of person.
Or you're a rodeo guy, or
Yeah.
you're going to be rowdy,
Who are
or
hard drinkers
you're
anyway,
dumb,
and it
or
makes
yeah,
sense. But
yeah. Well, and I can tell you the days I was in law enforcement, um, yeah, and I've been on the other side of this too. I'd rather deal with 20 bikers than 3 drunken cowboys.
Yeah.
Hands down every time. Because bikers generally, they're kind of doing their own thing, and there's kind of the outlaw biker thing where they've been dumped so many times that, you know what, they're going to get dumped. They know it. Reinforcements are on their way.
Yeah.
Drunken cowboys are like, you know what? You ain't telling me what to do. And no matter what, I ain't doing it. And you're going to have to make me do it. And I know I'm going to jail, but you know what? That's going to make a good story later.
Yeah.
Make
I can tell all the girls later. I might get some buckle bunnies to go with me or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so there is that. So there's some validity to some of the stupid things, but we're all not like that. So, and then then there's the other part of that Hollywood stuff, that if they think that you own a ranch, you have got to be pouring money out of boots and your pockets
Right.
because you're making it so fast that you can't get rid of it quick enough. And it's like
Right.
that is not the case. Yeah, so
Quite the
there's
opposite,
a lot
actually.
of stereotypes.
Yeah. But okay.
Yeah,
Well, I think
the
go ahead.
John Wayne Waha thing is typical too.
It's over. Hollywood, you need to change it up a little bit because it's been overdone. So
Oh, yeah,
with that, we'll
yeah.
put it out to pasture.